Hello, anime recapper here. Today, I'm going to talk about an anime called The Helpful Fox Senko-san. Nakano Kuroto is a man who works in the city and is like most people. One day, he has finished his work for the day and is about to go home when a coworker comes up to him and asks for his help. Even though he already wants to go home, he agrees. Meanwhile, in the spirit world, three women who look like foxes are looking at a middle-aged man who seems to be overworked and stressed out by his difficult work tasks. So, he gives off a negative aura that is dark and suffocating. So, one of the fox girls, a demi-fox named Senko who is 800 years old, promises to take care of him as much as he wants. After another hard night of working too much, Kuroto comes home to find Senko making him dinner, which is a big surprise to him. Even though he tried to get rid of her because he was afraid of getting in trouble for having her there, Senko properly introduced herself and told him that it was her job to take care of him. After he agrees, she makes him tea, which makes him think of when he was younger and happier. This makes his dark aura fade. The next morning, when Kuroto wakes up, he thinks that everything that happened last night was just a dream. But he soon finds out that wasn't the case and that Senko is still there. When Senko realizes he's almost late for work, he sees the same murky aura from last night and tells him to stay for breakfast. Then, while Kuroto is at work, Senko tidies the apartment. When Kuroto gets home from work, he is happy to know that he is being well cared for. She then cleans his ears for him, which puts him to sleep and makes him dream that he is spending time with Senko. When he wakes up, he asks her if they've met before, but she can't remember when. He wanted to scratch behind her ears. She lets him do it, but Kuroto slips his fingers into the canal area out of curiosity. Senko screams so loudly that their neighbor comes running out of her apartment. As a way of saying thank you for all she's done for him, he invites Senko to sleep in the bed with him so she won't have to sleep on the floor anymore. Kuroto and Senko played a video game, and Kuroto won the wager to touch Senko's tail. She makes a lot of noise as she sprints around trying to avoid Kuroto. The neighboring manga artist, Koenji, has had enough of the obtrusive noises and hurries over to open the door and asks the people within to be quiet. She misunderstands what Kuroto is doing with Senko after seeing it, but she still chooses to leave since she feels it was inappropriate for her to interfere so abruptly. As the awkwardness passes, Senko gets an idea and apologizes for making noises when Kuroto touched Senko's fur by giving Koenji food. Senko's ears and tail are noted as she presents herself as their neighbor. This leads Koenji to believe that Senko enjoys cosplay because of a show she watched where a similar fox-like female engaged in combat with a pervy bear while holding a camera. Kuroto instructed Senko to wear something to cover her ears and tail before the two of them headed to a shop later that evening to buy food. Kuroto began to feel less lonely going shopping alone on the walk back to the apartment because Senko was there. Kuroto returns to his apartment, exhausted once more, only to learn that he must work on Sunday. Senko threatened to wake him up for work and used her tail to force him to stay in bed. The next day, Kuroto got up to go to work, but Senko spoiled him with her tail again, so he stayed in bed longer than usual. Kuroto gets up around dinner time and is disappointed that he slept in. However, when Senko surprises him by cooking with foxfire, he quickly changes his tune. He shows up to work the next day in the pouring rain. Before he leaves, he explains the inner workings of various electronic devices to Senko so that she can use less magic in her daily life. She finishes up by doing some light cleaning of the apartment. She felt chilly and went to switch off the air conditioner, but the television had already started. Senko became confused and attempted to shut down the system. When Koenji tried to come over to see what was going on, the apartment's breaker tripped and she lost power. When Kuroto returns that evening, he finds everything off and a terrified Senko vowing never to use technology again. Yozora, Senko's mentor, and Shiro, his demi-fox friend, are watching from the spirit world. Disappointed with the result, Shiro vows to visit the real world and lavish attention on Kuroto. Kuroto returns to his apartment to discover Shiro, another fox demigod, already residing there. Shiro soon becomes aware of his fixation on her tail. In an effort to steal the show from Senko, she consents to his head touching. The plan succeeded as Senko became envious and desired to be petted as well. Using her foxfire abilities, Shiro discovers that Kuroto's true desire is to touch her tail, leading her to conclude that Senko is failing as a caretaker. Shiro runs away from him after getting scared, entering Koenji's apartment through a secret passage in the wall. Shiro tells Koenji he's sorry and leaves. To Koenji's surprise, she believes that she is hallucinating due to lack of sleep. Senko makes Kuroto a bath the following day. Her hope is that by sharing a bath with him, she can help ease his pain. While washing her back, he notices that her tail appears wet, which makes him sad. After getting out of the tub, he noticed that Senko's tail was back to normal and he felt the urge to pet it once more. Shiro spends the night outside, keeping an eye on the pair. Shiro intends to continue spoiling Kuroto, but she winds up in Koenji's place by mistake. She assumes she is hallucinating once more, so she goes to bed. When Shiro visits her neighbor Senko, they have a nice chat. On his day off, Shiro discovers Kuroto napping and invites him to a game. Shiro decided to switch video games because she found the current one too easy. Senko suggests they take a break so that he can make them some tea and a snack. After learning that Shiro was using her mind-reading abilities to predict his moves in video games, Kuroto decides to call it a day and head home after noticing Shiro's prowess. It was the front door or Koenji's apartment that she almost bypassed. Senko apologized to Koenji for Shiro's presence by stopping by the next day with food and a visit. The realization dawns on Koenji that she wasn't experiencing a hallucination is a relief. Koenji had Senko cosplay as a maid because she helps out around the apartment. When Kuroto returned home that evening, Senko was still dressed in the getup. Kuroto, noticing the outfit, remarked that he was fond of Senko's older threads. Shiro, now a spirit, wonders what's up with Senko's maid uniform. Sore from the day's work, Kuroto asked Senko to massage his back while they ate dinner together. Senko was relieved to find that the massage had removed Kuroto's gloomy energy. After that, they switched roles and Kuroto massaged Senko. However, he brushed his hand against her fur near the base of her tail, and she didn't like it. Senko responds by trying to tickle him in retaliation. While in the afterlife, Shiro keeps an eye on them and wonders how they are connected. Kuroto dreamed about Senko the night before, and in the dream, they were eating by a tree stump. While Koenji and Senko empty the trash, he heads to the office. In the workplace, Kuroto was once again overburdened by a request for assistance from a coworker. Kuroto misses his train and encounters Shiro on his way home. A shortcut back to the house is what she offers in exchange for some sustenance. Shiro, on her way back through the portal she opened, asks Senko why he's helping Kuroto and implies that she may be remembering her former master in the process. When Senko returns home, he tells Kuroto that he noticed a different scent on her because Shiro was nearby. Kuroto is currently enjoying his time off during the summer in Japan. When Senko inquired as to the length of his summer vacation, he explained that it lasted for a whole day. Suddenly, Shiro appears and leads them to the beach where they meet Koenji. While Koenji was napping, Shiro surprised her and brought her inside. Shiro brought her along, which Senko sees as a gamble. While Nakano and Senko lounged under the umbrella, Shiro and Koenji splashed around in the water. How well connected are Shiro and Koenji? He probes Senko. When asked what they did together, Senko mentioned playing video games. When Senko's back finally gave out, they stopped playing volleyball. While Kuroto went in search of food, Koenji rummaged through her bag and pulled out the grill. He found someone living in a shack and asked for food. She gave it to him raw. Despite Kuroto's best efforts, she ran away after telling him he was talking to a ghost, despite his sincere gratitude. After Kuroto had returned, they sat down to a meal. Senko set off foxfire fireworks every night. Koenji noticed a change in the fireworks' appearance, but Shiro assured her that it was normal. Kuroto was engrossed in a cooking show on TV and suddenly had a craving for gratin. However, he hastily heads off to work, while Senko stays at home to finish the show. She questioned Koenji on what it was that Nakano was craving, and Shiro expressed interest in pitching in the kitchen. They baked the gratin that Shiro, Koenji, and Senko made and then devoured it. Senko served the gratin to Nakano after dinner. He detects a new element, but the food still has the familiar flavor of Senko's preparations. Koenji enjoyed Shiro's sweet ramen, so she fed him. However, she believes Shiro's culinary sense to be lacking. Nakano's hair was getting long, so the next day Senko offered to help him get a haircut. He realizes that Senko is giving him a mommy-style haircut. To clean Nakano's hair, they both hopped in the tub. Senko was asked if this was her first time cutting hair. Senko said in response that she had not made any blunders. It has begun to snow outside. Senko opening the blinds woke up Kuroto, who had to go to work regardless of the snowfall. The only thing that stopped Senko from stopping him from leaving was a text message on his phone. They made snowballs and threw them around the apartment complex as they walked. Once awake, Koenji discovered Senko crafting a snowball. As the temperature drops, she decides to return inside. After that, Senko and Kuroto went back to bed, but Senko's back was hurting again. Upon Kuroto's request, Senko touched her tail, but the sensation was unpleasant. Sometime later, Senko expressed interest in preparing dinner, while Kuroto expressed a desire to once again pet her tail. She had just gotten up to start dinner when Yuzora showed up to surprise everyone. Yuzora is jealous of Kuroto's tail, so he decided to spoil her. She took off after being taken aback by him. Senko gushed to Kuroto about Yuzora's good looks, and he picked up on Kuroto's jealousy. The next night, Senko considered not making him dinner. Senko has a flashback to Kuroto's childhood as she cleans the apartment and sees a bento box with a flower design. Senko realizes that Kuroto is having a rough day at the office and decides to serve a special meal to brighten his spirits. Meanwhile, Shiro is still upset that it's been a whole year since Senko helped Kuroto from the spirit world. As a result, Yuzora assures her that she won't have to wait long to enjoy Kuroto's undivided attention. Kuroto's mother calls him after dinner to tell him that he must immediately visit the hospital because his father has been seriously injured. Kuroto is encouraged by Senko to visit his family, and he even lends her his phone so that they can stay in touch. He visits his parents and learns that his dad is fine. In this location, he pays his respects at his grandmother's grave and thinks back on his time spent with Senko. He tries calling her to inform her, but she doesn't pick up. After a few days away, Kuroto returns to his apartment and discovers that Senko has vanished without picking up his phone. She saw Senko leaving with bags and thought it was odd, so he goes to see Koenji, who tells him about it. She also mentions Shiro's absence, saying that the two of them had been anticipating the final Little Yoko episode with great anticipation. The year has passed, and although Kuroto's mood remains dark and gloomy, Yuzora in the spirit world assures Senko that she need not return. Senko remembers how his ancestor helped her when she was in trouble while Kuroto searches for her. Yuzora points out that humans only have a finite amount of time on Earth, predicting that she will experience heartbreak with Kuroto once again. No matter what happens, Senko promises to keep spoiling him by coming back to spend time with him at the cherry blossoms. However, Senko does not share the details of her experience in the afterlife. When Kuroto expresses gratitude to Senko for things that happened to him as a child, Senko acts perplexed but explains that she treats him well simply because she wants to. Shiro and Koenji come over, and they've got the last episode of Little Yoko recorded on Koenji's laptop. That's all for now. Like and subscribe for more.